Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, it just doesn't feel right. I got an email here from a guy who's relatively new to my work, and he went out on a date recently with a girl, and he says he hasn't read the book yet. So obviously that might be part of the problem. And so he was on his date, and I think it was the second or third date. He's taking her back to the train station, and she basically says something along the lines of, "Do you have something you want to ask me?" And he's thinking, what? So anyways, he drops her off, and 4 or 5 days later, he calls her to set up the third or the fourth date or whatever, and then she doesn't respond right away. And then finally, a few days later, he gets a hold of her, and she basically tells him she doesn't want to see him anymore, and he's scratching his head thinking, what the fuck? I thought I was doing everything right. So let's take a look at his email and see if we can figure out what happened here. So I have a quote that I wrote in this topic, and then we'll go through his email. And the quote says, when you've just started dating someone new, and they start talking about a recent breakup or an ex of theirs, you should pay close attention to their body language, physiology, tone of their voice, and facial expressions to see if they still have an emotional charge or do not appear to be over their ex. Why? If they bring up the ex and it appears they still have a strong emotional charge about them, you should proceed with caution and the understanding that if they're really not over their ex yet, it is highly likely the ex could come back into the picture, causing them to blow you off for the ex, even if your game is really tight. When you are a rebound or a new romantic possibility after the other person has had a recent breakup, their ex is usually going to be able to pull them away from you because of the strong emotional bond that they share, because you simply haven't had enough time with them to build a strong enough emotional bond to prevent it. I wrote about an example of this. A gal I was dated many years ago. I had a similar situation. I was textbook. My game was tight. Things were great. Our second date was awesome. She'd invited me up. It was fucking wonderful. And I call her a few days later for the third date, and she just kind of didn't respond. I was thinking, and then a few more days went by, and I can't remember what happened. I can't remember if I think she just never responded. And this was somebody that I had known for a year or two, and then I ran into her again like 6 months later. Because if somebody doesn't call me back, I never call them again. And what she ended up telling me was that she got back together with an ex-boyfriend. I know what it was. I saw her at a seminar a couple of weeks afterwards, and that's what she had told me. I was like, oh, so that makes total sense. Well, at least you could have fucking called me and told me and said, hey, I got back together with the ex. But most of the time, people aren't going to do that. It's like if they move on to somebody else, they just blow you off and they don't even give a fuck. It's rude, but hey, it happens. So let's go through his email. He says, hey coach, I've recently discovered your videos and have since gone through as many as possible, trying to glean as much information as I can in my relentless pursuit of understanding women. I've also since purchased an e-reader and I'm waiting delivery so that I may download your ebook. Well, if you're getting the Kindle version, you can download their free e-reader to any electronic device, which basically turns that device into an e-reader. And once you have the free app installed, then you can go ahead and complete the purchase of my book and start reading it. You don't have to have a physical e-reader for that. And the same thing with an Apple device. If you got an iBook, you can buy my book in the iBookstore. It's the same way. And for those of you that don't know, you can go to my website, and underneath the email sign-up box, there's an image of the book that'll take you to Amazon, so you can either get the paperback or Kindle. And below that, there's a little black button you can click on to take you to Apple, so you can download the iBook if you'd rather have the iBook. He says, I recently met this girl online, and we decided to meet up for coffee. She's 31, very pretty, well put together, well-spoken, and bubbly. We got along beautifully and discovered we had a shitload in common, including shark diving of all things. At the end of the date, we parted ways for the night, and she sent me a text a few hours later saying, I had an awesome time chatting with you, looking forward to hopefully getting to know you better. So far, so good. I mean, it sounds like it was a good first date. She proceeded to light up my phone for the next few days, but I was selective in my responses and my response time so as not to look overly too available. Plus, when you become overly available, then they expect it. Then they start texting you all hours of the day and night, and that gets obnoxious. The phone is for setting fucking dates. And as a man, you should be busy. You should be busy focused on creating something great for yourself, your business, your job, your career, whatever it happens to be. He says, I called her 4 days later to set up a date, to which she eagerly accepted. Sounds like she's eagerly accepting it. Things sound pretty good still. I told her what I had available a Wednesday night, and she said she'd move a few things around to make it work. Well, that shows that she's flexible and she really wants to see you. She's moving her schedule around to accommodate you. That tells me she has a high level of attraction for you. She's really digging you at that point, that moment in time. He says, I told her I was working on a few ideas for the date, and she said she loved the fact that I was taking the lead and that I get bonus points for the surprise. In other words, she likes it when she doesn't have to think about the plans, and all she has to do is show up, look hot, and have a great time that unfolds over the course of the evening. She also said she had an idea for another date if we get past the upcoming one. Ooh, Your Highness. I arranged to pick her up at the train station and took her bowling for the night. As we had to wait for a lane to open up, I bought her a few drinks and we talked. We continued getting along beautifully, and she opened up about her ex-boyfriend who's an alcoholic. Great, yeah, sounds like a fun conversation. Oh, so your ex-boyfriend's a fucking loser. Oh, you're not going to say that, but why would a pretty girl like you stay with a dude like that? Oh, she thought she could save him and fix him. She claimed he wasn't in the picture anymore. And notice what he says next. But I could sense a lot of emotional charge centered around the issue. Well, that tells me that she's not over the guy yet. And those women can be great, and all of a sudden, months go by or a few weeks go by, the ex reaches out, I miss you, I miss you too. And then they get together to hang out and talk it out, and they end up hooking up. And now she's thinking, oh, I got this other guy I just met. And they start thinking, oh, I hope he doesn't call. I don't want to have to turn him down. And even if she does, they're never going to give you a straight answer of what's really going on. She also revealed that her dad is terminal. So it sounds like she's got some negative emotional shit going on in her life. That's difficult. He says, we finally got our lanes after a few drinks and had a great time. I kicked her ass and rubbed it in a little just to be a bit cheeky, to which she responded very positively. As I was driving her back to the train station, she said to me, is there anything you'd like to ask me? When you hear that, what's on your mind? What are you thinking? What are you hoping that I would ask you? I was a bit taken back by this question as I've never heard it before, but I didn't let it show. I asked her if there was something on her mind, to which she replied that I'm unlike anyone she's ever met online before, that I have a good head on my shoulders, I'm super funny, and I have my shit together. That sounds pretty good. I thanked her for the compliment, parked the car, and then walked her to the train. I told her that I wanted to see her again, and she replied, yeah, okay. So right there, now it sounds like she's disappointed about something. It's possible that she was hoping, hey, would you like me to take you all the way home? I mean, that's the only thing I could think of when I read that, is that she was thinking, oh, well, maybe he'll take me back to my place and things could escalate or move along. But at the end of the day, she's got an idea in her head of what she wants you to do or thinks that she wants you to do, but she's not being real forthcoming about it. It didn't sound like a resounding yes to me, so I then looked at her for a few seconds and she said, you make me shy. I said, that's a good thing, and she said, yes, it's definitely a good thing. We said our goodbyes, and she texted me later that night, did you kiss her? You didn't mention that. We said our goodbyes. So if this is like, I think, the second or third date now, and you're spending all this time with her and you haven't made a move, you haven't tried to kiss her, I would say that's definitely where you're starting to fuck up and go wrong. We said our goodbyes, and she texted me later that night to say thank you for the great time. I responded the following day that it was my pleasure. 4 days later, I called to set up another date, and I got her voicemail. I left a message and made a joke about her being off practicing her bowling skills. She didn't call back, so I sent a follow-up text 3 days after that. That's definitely a fuck up. So you leave a message for her, and if she's still really into you, she's going to contact you back. But 3 days go by, that tells me she's basically blowing you up. So something definitely happened. Either A, she felt like you should be driving her back to her place, or B, you didn't kiss her, and so and that's a major fuck up because that makes you look like you lack confidence or you don't know what to do or you're not very experienced in dating. She replied right away, and she apologized for the delay, but she was busy finishing a work project and would get back to me later that night. She didn't. You're not a priority to her. Now she's thinking of ways to blow you off or let you down easy. 2 days after that, she finally got back to me and said that she really enjoyed our dates and chatting with me, but that it really put her off, that I didn't drive her home, and though she's been trying to get past it, it just doesn't feel right. That just sounds like bullshit. It's all your fault. You didn't drive me home. She did say, is there anything you want to ask me? So, because I had already read this email, that's what I'm thinking, that in her mind, oh, if he really likes me, he'll drive me all the way home and be a gentleman. But she didn't communicate that to you. What does that tell me? Not the world's greatest communicator. She expects you to figure out things through hints and innuendo. That's not a good sign. You think about that. You date a woman for 6 months, a year or two. How do you think that'll manifest and show up? She's just expecting you to match her expectations, which she's never going to tell you about in the first place. I've dated plenty of women like that. It's not fun. You have a great time with them when they do pull shit like that. Is there anything you want to ask me? Well, the right guy will know what to do. He'll do this or he'll do that. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what happened when all seemed to be going well. I called a mentor of mine and he said with women the answer is never the answer. And it could have been so many other things that caused her to bail. I never responded to her final text and have since gone no contact. But I'm left wondering, what the hell? Well, if you read the book, once you get it, then I think you have a better understanding of what you may or may not have done. And like I said, you didn't mention anywhere in here, you just said we said our goodbyes. What does that mean? You gave her a hug? If you gave her a hug, shook her hand, not a good way to go. Then that's understandable that she lost interest. He says, is it an ex-boyfriend hang up? Is there another man in the picture? Or did I shit the bed somewhere? Like I said, it's either you didn't kiss her, the ex-boyfriend's coming back into the picture, she had unreasonable expectations of what you should and shouldn't have done that she didn't tell you about, didn't communicate to you. So that tells me, that, to me in my book, rules her out because that shows a lack of communication skills. She's not willing to tell you what's on her mind. She wants you to play detective. It's like, what are we, fucking 5 years old here? She has since stopped logging into her online profile, so I'm thinking it was another man. I'd say that's probably the best thing, because you could tell in her body language that she wasn't over the ex. But more than likely what's happening is that she's basically turning this around and saying, oh, it's all your fault because you didn't drive me home. And you're going, because I didn't drive you home? That sounds like such bullshit. I didn't drive you home and that's why you don't want to see me anymore, even though you never suggested that. Hey, would you mind... Hey, she could have easily said, hey, you know, if you want to drive me home, you're more than welcome to, and we can have a nightcap at my place. Women will do that as well sometimes. I think what was really going on is she probably got back together with the ex. Her father's dying, think about it. She has an emotional attachment to the ex still. You could see it in her body language, her physiology, the tone of her voice, everything. And so when it comes to, oh, you didn't drive me home, and that really put me off, and I just can't get past that. That's the bullshit excuse that I think that she's given you. From everything I've seen here, from my own experience, and haven't done this all these years, all thousands of men and women I've talked to, I'd say more than likely she got back together with the ex-boyfriend. And that's why she didn't return your phone call right away. It's because she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. And more than likely, if you hadn't had called her, texted her 3 days later, she probably would have never called you back. And that would have definitely been because of the ex-boyfriend. So I'd say If I was a bet man, if I was to put a wager on it, I'd say the ex-boyfriend came back into the picture and she just gave you a big fucking shitburger as the excuse of why. I mean, you can see from stuff like this why so many guys are so confused by women is because she doesn't give you a straight answer. Because she didn't have the fucking guts or the integrity to tell you the truth about it. So I wouldn't do anything ever again with this girl. If she reaches out, make a date, invite her to come over to your place, she can come to you since she blew you off and treated you like that. I wouldn't go pick her up at the fucking train station. You know, she can fucking drive to you. If she doesn't want to do that, just say, nah, it's been a long week. I'm just in the mood to hang at my place. If you don't want to come over and make dinner together, and give me a call in 2 to 3 weeks, and maybe I'll be up for something more formal then. Why should you go out of your way for you? I mean, you spend your money and you spend your time with a girl, and she can't even fucking call you and tell you what's really going on? That fucking sucks. It's not worth your time. Therefore, if she calls you down the road, a month or two down the road, whatever it happens to be, and hey, and then you invite her over, and she's like, well, why don't you come pick me up? I was like, no, quite frankly, after the way you treated me last time and blew me off like that with no explanation and telling me I didn't pick you up or didn't take you home or whatever, it's like, if you really want to see me, I want to see that you're going to make the effort. If push comes to shove and she mentions that, I'd throw that back in her fucking face. Because seriously, you want somebody with jump fences to be with you, not somebody that treats you like this. But like I said, I think it's the ex. That's what it looks like from everything you suggested here. Because other than maybe not going for the kiss, but even still, the fact that she's not online on the online dating site anymore tells me, I mean, maybe it's not the ex. Maybe it's another guy that she was dating in addition to you. Maybe he made a move. Maybe he was a little more aggressive and things progressed with him, and that's why she chose him over you and then blew you off like that. So, I mean, those things are going to happen. But like I said, reading the book can definitely help you pinpoint where you may have gone wrong. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.